if you can't handle today's world of people like that, and then, you know, you go hide in your house.
It's like, if I'm paying money to be at a hotel and be at a resort, I expect not to see non-guests frolicking on the resort property, looking to potentially get into the building and, you know, be walking the hallways where people's rooms are. That's not acceptable. That's I have a different trip planned for just a few weeks to Universal Studios. Before you get sad and think that I have canceled my Universal trip, no, I have not canceled it. I have just adjusted my Universal Studios upcoming trip, and I've actually made it better. So I was originally going to stay back at the Cabana Bay Beach Resort, and there were the pros and the cons of staying there. I've spoken in depth about this, about the pros and the cons, and there's a lot of pros that have to do with like the general cost, and it has a nice food court and stuff like that. But one of the actual big cons regarding the hotel is the safety of the hotel. I'm pretty sure I saw a non-guest that was kind of walking around the property, especially in the area of back and forth in front of the towers, and I saw this person go into the garage area. And there was also safety concerns, honestly, with the hotel regarding the walking path, which actually borders a main street that anyone can be on. It's not like an internal part of the property. So there are cons, I would say, that greatly outweigh staying at Cabana Bay, and those cons have really been a reason that I was kind of like saying to myself, how do I stay there even though the costs may be good? Like, how do I get safely from the resort to City Walk without having an encounter with a non-guest, which I had happen when I was staying there with someone who was paralleling me with an electric scooter when I attempted to go on the walking path to City Walk. So that was a not great experience, but it was an experience that I certainly wouldn't want to repeat. So I was saying to myself, if I stayed at Cabana Bay, and that was really a huge thing that was bothering me, how in the world do I get to City Walk? I was saying to myself, I'm going to have to go on the bus, but then it's Mardi Gras, and the bus lets you off with the same traffic of anyone who's not staying at a hotel, and then I'm going through the same security checkpoint with everyone else, and that's going to be really chaos, and there's going to be so many people trying to get into the park, and then that outweighs the benefit of staying at the resort. So I was lucky enough to come across a really great deal and reservation at Sapphire Falls. Sapphire Falls is kind of like a mid-level resort. It's definitely a step up from Cabana Bay, in my opinion. It certainly costs more, but in this case, I was able to get it. I'll get into that. But Sapphire Falls is actually on the water taxi system. When I went there in December, which was interesting, was the days I was there, the water taxi was actually down for maintenance, and literally, I think the day I left, it went back up. So your only option at that point, if you had been at Sapphire, would have been to walk or take the bus. They do have a bus, I believe, that runs from Sapphire, but their big gimmick is the water taxi. And then I made a point of this in my other videos, the walking path at Sapphire, because I mentioned this in my other videos. The walking path at Sapphire is an internal walkway. It's not a walkway that's on the outside paralleling that road at Universal, which can, it's not the greatest. The walkway from Sapphire is an internal walkway that does not border the road, and it's internal, and it's much safer, and it's much quicker to get to City Walk. You walk probably literally for a minute and a half, and you will get to Royal Pacific. You will join in with the walking traffic from Royal Pacific, and then literally it's probably another minute and a half to City Walk. It's that close. So it's very doable, and I was saying to myself, again, if I had been at Cabana, what I did in December was I didn't stay long at the park. In other words, I would not be there when it was nighttime because I didn't want to walk back on that path, which was not great, in the dark. Now, because I'm staying at Sapphire, I could actually stay longer at the park, which is great for Mardi Gras because a lot of the festivities don't get going till the early evening. And, see the parade, or at least see the characters out and about. So I have a lot more options now to extend how much time I'm at the park and enjoy the evening at the park, because now I have the option of walking back on the walkway or taking the water taxi back to the resort. So the safety element is such a thumbs up regarding Sapphire versus Cabana that it is worth it to stay there. I was considering paying the extra money at the higher bracket level before I found the discount, because it's such an issue, in my opinion, the safety issue of Cabana Bay. I know they'll show you like, oh, I love Cabana and this and that, and it has its pros. I've never said it has no pros, but there's not the greatest safety thing going on with Cabana Bay. Again, I saw a non-guest walking on property of the resort. I saw a non-guest that was paralleling me with the walking path, and I've had people in the comments, and they'll get critical, and they'll be like, if you can't handle today's world of people like that, and then you go hide in your house. It's like, if I'm paying money to be at a hotel and be at a resort, I expect not to see non-guests frolicking on the resort property, looking to potentially get into the building and be walking the hallways where people's rooms are. That's not acceptable. That's a safety concern. That's absolutely not acceptable, and that's exactly what was happening at Cabana Bay. This non-guest was in front of the area where the tower is, because the tower is actually a separate building, not connected to the main buildings. And this person was walking in front of the tower, and you actually needed to use your scan card to get into the tower, but they could have just waited there and eventually gotten in. And then they ended up going into like the garage area, which was not good. So that was a huge flaw in staying at Cabana. So I'm very happy I'm staying at Sapphire. So originally I was paying for 5 nights at Cabana Bay in their upgraded room back into the towers called the Volcano Bay standard room, and I was doing that at a decent rate. And one of the reasons I was doing that is I was hearing complaints that if you were staying in the regular building, there was a problem with the air conditioning. I don't know if that's true or not true, but it kind of would make sense in the sense of that the tower is a newer building that was added on years later. So I was originally paying for 5 nights at Volcano Bay room, view of Cabana Bay, and then I was able to find 4 nights at Sapphire Falls, and not only Sapphire Falls, but in their upgraded room, which is like the equivalent of like a pool view or something like that, but it's like a view of like the water or something like that. So it's an upgraded room, and this is the type of room that would generally go for about $400 a night, and I got it for under $200 a night. And so I'm going to stay at Sapphire Falls for 4 nights instead of the 5 that I was going to do at Cabana, of the safety concern of Cabana and the fact that I can stay longer in the park and I can walk with the internal walking path. All of this makes it worth it, and it also will elongate the day. Like, I'll be able to film more, I'll be able to stay out more. So the fact that I don't need to like flee the park and be back at Cabana by a certain hour before the sun goes down in order to avoid, how do I be with the walking path at night? It's just like the 4 days at Sapphire is going to feel like longer than it was at Cabana. That the convenience of knowing that you can safely get to and from with your resort to the parks, as well as how long it will potentially take you to do that regarding the normal traffic of people that are non-hotel guests, as well as like the checkpoint with security, is worth it staying at Sapphire. I have much more options. When I am leaving the park, I can take the water taxi back, or I can walk, and then the walking situation is very brief. So there's a lot more options. It's a lot more doable. The food situation is slightly different at Sapphire. It's a much more of a sit down type of situation, and Cabana was more like food courty. But to be quite honest, there was a lot of things in the food court at Cabana that didn't work. Like 75% of the soda machines didn't work. And so, and then Sapphire seems like it has a very nice pool bar that's like a food type of thing. So I'm very, very happy with this reservation. I had to get like they were super nice about it, like once I got them on the phone, but like you should be able to like modify reservations online. That was really super difficult. It wasn't even working, so I had a call, which was fine. They got on the phone right away, but I made sure I asked, because like when I first booked the reservation, I had booked it through the seasonal rate and not the annual pass rate. So if you're considering getting an annual pass versus like a day-to-day ticket, I wasn't sure at first when I got the annual pass, but it has been well worth it getting the annual pass, because in itself the annual pass rate has saved me a ton of money in regard to like the reservation rate of the hotels and stuff. So I am super excited about my upcoming reservation or trip. I hope you guys are enjoying all the Mardi Gras content that's going to come on my channel. I'm going to wear this hat when I go. It's cute. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys stay tuned for all the Mardi Gras content, because now I'm going to have quite a few days there to do really good content for you. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video, and bye!